أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and a very good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of On the Couch with me, Shanaz Gul Hamid. We've taken a bit of a break over the holidays and as you know, we're moving closer to when we all back to supposedly normal, whatever that is during this COVID that we've been having. On the Couch aims to unpack, deal and confront those issues we don't often want to address, but issues that affect you or those close to you. So hear the difference on 100.4 FM. Well, this evening we're discussing period poverty, alleviating period poverty, and the first segment of the program will discuss awareness with Sister Mahbooba David. She's of course a program leader of Pathway to Woman and Manhood Project, facilitator of Miracle of Being a Woman seminars and the Daughters Are Diamonds projects, and a resident guest of Radio 786. This is part of our back to school programming, a window into Islamically supporting girls and young women early into their menstruating journeys at home, school and community levels. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Sister Mahbooba.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Shanaz. So good to hear your voice again, alhamdulillah.
Oh, alhamdulillah. I'm happy to be chatting to you when I hear of the program, the Pathway to Woman and Manhood projects, also the facilitator of Miracle of Being a Woman seminars and the Daughters Are Diamonds. It just starts giving me goosebumps again because I know what those projects meant to those women and boys, young boys and men as well. The impact that it had and still have, many people still talking about that and things happening online also now, but we'll find out a bit more later. Sister Mahbooba, when we look at teens, adolescents in Islam, really, is this a Western concept when you speak of teens and adolescents? Because we look at our girls, they become mukallaf sometimes at the age of 9, 10, or even some of them even 8 years old. So is there a thing like teens and adolescents in Islam?
Yes, Shanaz. Shukran so much for that question, because the Quran actually answers every question pertaining human beings and humanity. Sa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our respected listeners this evening and to you, Sister Shanaz. Yes, indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does speak about children reaching the age of sexual consciousness. And the Quran is actually very accurate when it speaks about teens, it speaks about adolescents, the Quran speaks about that particular concept, of the concept of becoming baligh or bulugh, the concept of bulugh in the Quran. It's actually the phase when children actually enter into the phase of womanhood and manhood. And of course, with that, it comes with responsibility. And if I want to reference here for the sake of the listeners, they can actually look at Surah An-Nur, in the Surah of Decency and Privacy, and they can look at the Surah, the verse 58 and 59, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and when younger children reach the age of sexual consciousness, let them have permission to access your private chambers, as was done by those who preceded them in age. In this way does Allah clarify His ayat for you, for Allah is all-knowing and very wise. So what we learn here, Sister Shanaz, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks directly to the parent. And Allah wa ta'ala say to the parent, let your children ask permission to access your private chambers. So what is this? What does it really mean, Sister Shanaz? Because when we in our bedroom, Sister Shanaz, that is our private space, right? For husband and wife. So Allah Ta'ala actually recommends that the parents, for them to tell their children really to ask permission to enter. because also, yeah, Allah Ta'ala actually want to protect the ears and the eyes of our children, for them not to enter into the private chambers without permission. So yeah, we can learn how Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala protects the the sexually conscious children, because what we learn today, also today, is exactly the opposite, where children who are sexually conscious are actually exposed to all kinds of pornography and have access to all these things, and that we wonder why things are going wrong within society, right? And here Allah Subhanahu wa Taala actually makes the link between becoming baligh and talking about teens, and also children who have become sexual conscious, for them to be, for them to really not to be exposed to things that, that's meant for their eyes and for their ears.
Yeah. Sister Mahoba,
so we also
yeah.
yes,
You can continue.
yeah, and this is also mentioned in the scriptures of other denominations as well, Sister Shanaz, where we learn from in the Jewish faith, in the Christian faith, and we look also at the ancient cultures when it comes to like really talking about teens and the importance of the stage in a young woman and a young man's life.
Yeah.
And why it was always celebrated, communally celebrated, and the wisdom behind that.
Yeah, indeed. And we also think of the indigenous people and how they would see this. And of course, we see the Western influence around this as well. As you've mentioned, that children are exposed to all kinds of things that's not age appropriate for them. As you've quoted Surah An-Nur as well, 58 and 59. Sister Mapuba, I know that, a few years ago you had a very interesting program, Daughters Are Diamonds program, and your approach to mentoring and supporting young menstruating girls and women around body awareness, menstrual care, and responsibility around reaching the mukallaf stage. One thinks of that perhaps we should be starting to teach our children, our girl child especially, maybe from the age of 7, about the menstrual cycle and menstruation. It is sometimes for us a bit worrying, because we think, is our girl child mature enough to handle it, and the responsibility, that comes with becoming mukallaf. You have to make your salah, you have to fast, and you are at that age where you will be punished, for example, for your sins. But with your Daughters Are Diamonds project, just explain how you supported those girls, that started menstruating and reaching the mukallaf stage.
Sister Shanaz, it was such an empowering project for us, because first and foremost, we as mothers of the Ummah, it was such an eye-opener for us as women, as first teachers of our children and our daughters. And we actually had to go through that particular process and also unlearning the misinformation that was actually passed on to us by previous generations, And through this particular program, what we've done is we have actually updated the legacy of our foremothers, and not really, because they could only teach us what they knew and what they understood, right? With regards to becoming a woman and all about the menstrual cycle and things like that, and also about the cyclical nature of women, right? And how we can actually use our cyclical nature to our own benefit. And also you can use our cyclical nature and you can use that particular calendar for our own benefit and the benefit of society, and also with the benefit of our families, you see. So this, for us, so the education actually started with us. So it was really an amazing achievement for us as a forum, first and foremost, to have learned this, because we cannot say that we represent women, Sister Shanaz, and not knowing who we are as women. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
So this whole program was actually endorsed by Professor Yasin Mohammed when he attended that particular first program, and he entered his daughters into the program. And he said that the age of sexual consciousness must be celebrated, and not the age of when we reach the age of 21. And then we want to give them this particular key to the door to explore the world. So that he actually sort of endorsed the program, and it actually made us feel good that somebody who's actually a knowledgeable person, and a person of that actually understands the Quran, because he is a professor in Arabic, the Arabic language. So this actually for us was like so I would really say a feather in our cap, but also having learned that how this age of puberty, the age of teens, and why it needs to be celebrated it is actually in line with the nature of the male and the female. Because during this particular time, Stashanaz, the body goes through amazing changes. And they are actually, so there's hormonal changes and physical changes in the body, which actually has an impact on the psyche and the emotional state of the youth. So here is actually, this information is so important for both parents and their daughters and sons, Stashanaz, so that we can actually all be on one particular page. When these things happen within our community, like you earlier said, the girls are becoming baligh at a very younger age, a much younger age at the moment, right? That's why the Quran is actually very, very clear when it comes to, it says, children who are sexually conscious. The Quran doesn't speak about adults becoming sexually conscious. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So here we learn the importance of such programs. And at first, perhaps this information was passed on by word of mouth, and also from one generation to the other. But what we've learned also, Sessioners, there was a lot of unlearning for us to do, right? Because our bodies, subhanallah, it is such, we have been created in such a beautiful and perfect manner, right? And we have never been taught really the wisdom behind the cyclical nature of women. Even though we were taught perhaps about our menstruation, that we should not be playing with boys, that we should take a ghusl when we have had our period, when we those kind of things, then we know something actually happened in our lives. Something of importance did happen, or is happening in our lives, because now all of a sudden my childhood has come to an end, isn't it? Right? So now I have to be treated differently, because now there's certain responsibilities on me now. Like you earlier said, my salah is a farad on me, my fasting is a farad. So with that particular age comes a form of responsibility. Now, but that responsibility is easier for us to actually apply if we understand our nature as men and women. And because our rights and our responsibility is actually based on our true nature as ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, so that was actually the beauty of it. So we could actually connect the dots, Sister Shanaz. And we also grew up with the idea that our menses we are in a state of, how can I say,
dirty or unclean.
We are unclean during that particular time. And also there's a lot of shame and sin around really that part of our body, the uterus, the cervix, even the womb. And even our blood is like we earlier said, it makes us that we are not in an unclean state, which is actually a very, very natural state ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which actually makes us women. Makes us because men don't menstruate. It's women that have the cycle. Right? Even though we have learned later that men also have a cyclical nature, but on another particular level. So, but this is the beauty of learning about who we are as being created by Allah as ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah ta'ala says clearly in the Quran, do not disturb the fitrah in which I have created creation. Indeed. Right? So the natural order in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created creation. And by misinformation or being ill-informed about who we are as the creation of Allah, we can actually harm ourselves.
Yes.
Right? And also having a negative feelings about ourselves. We send negative messages to our bodies. Then we wonder also why women actually have these bad menstrual cramping and things like that, because it's all the messages that we send to our bodies, and our bodies have been created in truth. So that's why definitely our bodies will respond if we send negative messages to our bodies.
Yeah.
So what we have learned through this particular program, Stashanaz, that, and as you know also, you've been part of this particular program, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us so beautifully, and that our menses is actually such a gift from Allah
Indeed.
subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine that particular gift being given to us as women every month, Sister Shanaz. And during that particular time, as we have learned about our period, that we are closer to our Creator than other times
Mm,
while we are on our period. No, so
indeed,
those
indeed.
kind of little things have never been shared with us because maybe our parents were also not being taught that information. But now we learn there's a science behind it, you
Yeah.
know, and
System,
we
yeah.
learn also that now, yes, yes,
No, indeed.
Shanaz,
Sister Mahbuba, the
yes,
beauty of creation, and as you've also said, Allah creating the female with our physical and emotional beings that we are. And it's
mm,
all, if you look at it, it's all there for us to play our role as being the maternalist or the maternal aspect of the relationship, for us to be able to take care of our families and our children. But
absolutely.
how can we involve our young ones, especially our boys, in this conversation
Mm.
where menstruation is concerned, of the girl child?
Sister Shanaz, firstly, we actually just sort of dedicated the programs to girls only, and then only to a particular gender, right? So we don't we in the past we never invited the male to these programs, but now in recent times, as time went by, we felt that the men and the boys need to know this information. But lo and behold, that was the magic, Sister Shanaz, because as soon as we actually shared this information with a mixed group, it was amazing what actually came from fathers, from husbands, and saying that I never knew this about my wife, you
Mm.
know, and only now I know this what my wife was actually experiencing when we talk about PMS. Why do we become like sort of sometimes so sensitive during these particular times? It's because our bodies are so ready to give birth to something, and when we are before we actually go into our period, Sister Shanaz, and we have given it the name premenstrual stress, and we don't really look at how it is actually a time when a woman is on her when she is most sensitive. And that's why we say stress, because the things that never used to bother her during the rest of the month is now bothering her at that particular time, because that emotions has not been dealt with. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us an innate clock, a biological clock, by whether we can actually use this particular time to correct the things in our lives and to make things better, because now all the emotions are up there, or it's out there. I'm sensitive, and this, because the issues have not been resolved in my life. That's why it's resurfacing and resurfacing. It's resurfacing every month. You see, so it's a good time to make things better. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through our period, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given women an opportunity to become quiet and to reflect,
Mm.
right? It's
Yes.
not time for, we don't, Allah ta'ala exempted us from salah, He exempted us from fasting, and He has given us this quiet time to go inside and to reflect and to make things better 365 times in our I would say, because it is from the time that we have our period until we reach a stage of menopause. Allah Ta'ala has given us 365 opportunities to make things better in our lives.
Yeah,
Do you
inshallah.
understand that?
Yes.
So it's how this innate calendar, Sister Shanaz, can
Mm-hmm.
actually help and assist us as women. And if we know how to use this particular cyclical calendar, we can use it for the benefit of ourselves and for our families and society.
Yes,
So it's
indeed.
actually a very empowering journey. And so when we talk about period poverty, Sister Shanaz, and I'm glad you're mentioning it, like alleviating it through awareness,
Mm-hmm.
even though we have this amazing project that we have, that when we want to sort of really focus on the dignity of young girls, for them to be able to go to school, to get these the dignity packs every month, because we know the height of poverty out there. It is through this awareness that we can also assist them, or empowering them by teaching them or guiding them how to listen to the languages and the messages of our bodies
Indeed.
and learning to trust those messages. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sister Mahbuba,
Because our blood.
yeah, how can we then better equip our parents, teachers and caregivers with the skills and abilities to better support our girls and women around menstruation?
Shanaz, I think we all need to go back and we all need to sit down and reflect and look at the message that was passed on from our foremothers unto us and how we pass it on to other generations. And when you look at that particular information, Sister Shanaz, and we look at the information that's available now, this information is available now. It has always been there, but it was brushed under the carpet, right? And we have actually, what we have done, we have actually focused on the ways and means and also messages of the world instead of looking at listening to the messages of our body.
Yeah.
Right? So we really need to look at that. And yes, I feel parents also, first mothers and fathers, both need to be empowered to actually unlearn the stuff that we have been unlearning through the years, and then relearning, Sister Shanaz, relearning this new information that is available.
Indeed,
shukran. And we look at our nature in which Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has created us, because He has created us not in a negative way, not for a negative purpose, right? Yeah. But it seems that part of our bodies, where Allah Ta'ala says again, respect the womb. It's a universal law that we have to respect the womb. And how can we respect our womb if we have negative feelings about her? Yeah. When Allah Ta'ala has given her this attribute of rahmah. You understand what I mean? Mm. So it is. That's why we feel this program is an ongoing program, Sister Shanaz. So maybe if maybe Allah Ta'ala might take us away today, like me and you. But this program is an ongoing. That's why it's actually in book form. We have it like in a manual, where people can actually use the manual to actually they can even write in their own notes and their own experiences in this particular manual, and look where. Yes.
Yeah. So how can people get hold of the manual, Sister Mahbuba?
The manual actually is coupled with the sessions that we offer.
Yeah.
Because there's always like feedback coming from the sessions. You know what I mean? The seminars are actually very interactive. And I hope, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us the help, inshallah. And we do have a Facebook page where people can actually tap into for this information, right? Which will actually share with the listeners at the end of the program. And then also, but personally, I love really talking to people. So it is, sharing this information. Even though we would have loved this particular program actually to have been in schools already, Sister Shanaz, in the mainstream schools, unfortunately, we have invited, when we relaunched in 2018, we invited school curriculum advisors to the program. And then they told me that it won't be easy for us to get it into the mainstream school because the mainstream schools actually promotes comprehensive sex education, whereby this is actually a very much coming from a sacred perspective.
Indeed.
So, but there are trainers. Yes.
Can you
our
give
trainers
us?
Are.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you give us, how people can get hold of you? I'm sure many people now want to know more because it's something, as you say, it's ongoing. That perhaps parents want to be skilled in how to handle this and how to approach the situation. Yeah. So is there any way that they can contact you and get hold of you online as well?
They can contact me on my cell number at 083 746 4040, and I will also leave my Facebook page with the listeners.
Yeah.
Our Facebook page is Pathways at Women's Forum. Yeah. And we are also on Instagram at IUC lowercasing pathways.
Okay.
Right? But personally, I feel these sessions, these one-to-one sessions, or this physical sessions, or even online sessions, is actually the best, Sister, because it gives space for questioning and also inquiring, and because it's I would say, alhamdulillah, I must say that the trainers who have been trained to do the workshops, Sister Shanaz, they have been applying it at their own madaris and so on. So and that is how the word actually spreads, Sister Shanaz.
Sister Mahbooba, shukran so much. It's been, as always, so empowering, enlightening chatting to you. We'll leave all the details there at the reception. Shukran so much, Sister Mahbooba. I'm sure that, we will pick up on this again. Shukran so much, and do go well. All the strength and all the best, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And that, Sister Mahbooba David, you can hear the passion. It's been there for years. The Islamic Unity Conventions, Women's Forum, they've been pushing this very much, very important, looking at the menstruation of the girl child. Sister Mahbooba Davids, of course, she's the program leader of Pathway to the Woman and Manhood Project, facilitator of Miracle of Being a Woman seminars, and the Daughters Are Diamonds projects. And she's our recent guest at Radio 786. You can contact her or WhatsApp her on 083 7464 4040 if you need any assistance on how to deal with this where menstruation is concerned. We're of course looking at alleviating period poverty with awareness, and after the break we'll look at the resources that should be utilized for the girl child. And it is said that 7 million South African girls cannot afford to buy sanitary products. An estimated 30% of South African girls do not attend school while they are on their period because they do not have sanitary products. And we know there's many NGOs that's trying to assist where this is concerned. One of it is Elevated Ground, and we, after the break, will chat to co-founder Wonky Mapaye. Stay tuned.